Hello, fifth graders. Oh, let's turn on the mic. Hello, fifth graders of Nooksack Elementary. This is Miss Anderson, and I'm here to teach some math today. So let's go to page 105, operating with fractions and whole numbers. Let's read through our learning target for today. I can multiply and divide whole numbers and fractions. Before we start, let's go through, I have it on my document camera up here. Let's go through our directions. So we're going to solve each of the story problems below. For each problem, choose and circle one of the numbers in the parentheses, depending on how challenging you want the problem to be. For the two, A and B, I'm going to choose the first number, so I'd like you to try another number from the set to do on your own, and I'm going to use those first ones as an example problem. You need to write an expression to represent your problem. Remember, an expression is an equation, but no equal sign. Use numbers labeled visual models or words to solve the problem and explain your strategy. Complete the sentence below with your solution. Remember to write your answer in the sentence below. So let's start with the first one. It takes 1/2 of a cup of flour to make a batch of pancakes. I have 4 cups of flour. How many batches of pancakes can I make? You can see this little guy in the corner. He has a cup right there. So I know that I already have 4 cups. So I'm going to start with 4 cups. I'm going to draw a picture. I have 4, and my cups are just going to be boxes. I have 4 cups of flour. Now I'm going to go back to my other number, 1/2. It takes 1/2 of a cup of flour to make a batch of pancakes. I need to figure out how many 1/2s are in 4, because that'll tell me how many batches I can make for each 1/2. So I know that if I take one of my cups and I divide it, these are halves. So let's divide each one in half, and I'll have a half for each batch of pancakes. As I'm saying that, I'm realizing what my expression would be. I just took my 4 cups and I divided them in half. So 4 divided by 1/2. Now to find my answer, I need to figure out how many 1/2s there are, because each 1/2 is a batch of pancakes. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 1/2s if I kept counting all of them together. That means that I can bake 8 batches of pancakes. So I know that when I have 4 cups of flour and I divide them in half, I can make 8 batches of pancakes. Now, this might be a great model so that you can choose 1/3 and divide your cups into thirds. Or 3/4 is a tricky one, same with 2/3, and divide your cups into 3/4 or 2/3. I'd advise using colors for 3/4 and 2/3 not to get mixed up. All right, let's go on to our next one. Our next problem, B, says little snail can crawl, and we're going to pick 1/4 of a mile a day. How far can he crawl in 5 days? If he crawls the same distance each day. So he's crawling 1/4 of a mile each day for 5 days. That means I need to figure out how much 5 1/4s are. And when I say it that way, I know that that's 5 times 1/4. Now I'm going to show you one way to do it, but then afterwards I'm going to show you a poster of multiple ways to multiply a whole number and a fraction so that you can decide between those different ways how you want to do it. When I see that he's crawling so many miles per day, I think of using a double number line. So we know on the bottom of my number line, I'm going to have the days. He's going for 5 days. So 5 is at the bottom of my number line. On the top, I'm going to have the miles. He's going to crawl 1/4 of a mile each day. So we know that the first day, day 1, on the bottom, days, miles, he goes 1/4 of a mile. So plus 1/4, and he ends up at 1/4 of a mile. The next day, day 2, he goes another 1/4 of a mile, plus another 1/4. And I know that 1/4 plus 1/4 is 2/4. He's at 2/4, which is also equal to half. So half a mile, write that above, 1/2 or 2/4. Then on the third day, he goes another 1/4 mile. Plus another 1/4. 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, that's 3/4. On the fourth day, he's going another 1/4 of a mile. See the repetitiveness. And 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, that's 4/4. I know that 4/4 is equal to 1 whole mile. So I'm going to put 4/4 equals 1 whole mile. 1. And then I know on the last day, he goes another 1/4. And if I'm adding my 1/4 to my 1 whole mile here, I end up with 1 and 1/4 mile. So overall, he went 1 and 1/4 miles in 5 days. So I can say 5 times 1/4 equals 1 and 1/4. Now another way to say 1 and 1/4, if I added 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, is it also equal to 5/4? So 5/4 could also be an answer, but that's just an improper fraction, and this is a mixed number. Now I want to show you a poster of some other ways to multiply whole numbers and fractions. Hello friends, you can see this poster that says strategies for multiplying whole numbers and unit fractions. You can use repeated addition, 1/4 over and over to get 5/4 or 1 and 1/4. You can make the problem easier by cutting it into chunks, 4 times 1/4 and 1 times 1/4. You can, with fourths, half it, half of 5, and then half again. Half of 5 is 2 1/2. Half of 2 1/2 is 1 and 1/4. I know you can't see this green down here, but with 1/4, you can also use 25 cents. So you can use a decimal to make it a little easier. I will take a picture of this and send it with your packets. So thank you for being here for this lesson. See you next time.